God says, "My child, come closer in your heart and listen carefully, because what I am about to reveal to you is something you were never supposed to hear this way. Your soulmate has finally confessed their love for you, and they did it in front of other people. But don't skip, because it wasn't simply an, 'I love you.' What came out of their mouth next left everyone around them completely speechless. For so long, this person has been hiding emotions they could barely explain, pretending they could control what they felt whenever your name was mentioned. But this time, something changed. Someone unexpectedly brought you into the conversation, and your soulmate suddenly became quiet. Their expression shifted. Their voice changed. Everyone noticed. And then, without planning it, they finally admitted the truth: "I love this person more deeply than they will ever understand." But my child, that was only the first revelation. Something huge is waiting for you, because the very next sentence they spoke revealed why they have never been able to truly let you go. They looked at the people around them and confessed something nobody expected. They said they had tried to move forward. They had tried to stay busy, silence their feelings, and convince themselves that what existed between you was something they could simply leave behind. But every attempt brought them back to the same truth: you were still the person their heart remembered when everything became quiet. Then someone asked them, "If you feel this strongly, why haven't you told them?" Your soulmate hesitated. And what they said next changed the entire atmosphere. "Because if I tell them everything, there is no going back. They will finally know how much power they have had over my heart all this time. Stay till the end," because those words were followed by an even bigger confession. Your soulmate admitted that there were countless moments when they almost contacted you, almost told you everything, almost stopped hiding, but every single time, emotion became stronger than courage. And then came the moment nobody in that room was prepared for. Your soulmate stopped trying to protect the secret and said, "If I were given one chance to choose again, I would still choose them." My child, don't skip what comes next, because they didn't stop there. They began talking about the smallest things they still remember about you, details you probably assumed they had forgotten long ago. The sound of your voice. The way you looked at them during certain moments. The conversations that seemed ordinary to you but stayed alive inside their memory. Then they revealed something even more surprising: they probably think I forgot. They have no idea how many times I wanted to tell them the truth. Everyone listening realized this wasn't a temporary feeling. This person had been carrying something much deeper. But just when it seemed like the entire revealed that there is still one thing they have never told anyone completely, something they want to say directly to you. And when you discover what that hidden confession is, you may finally understand why they chose this exact moment to stop hiding their love. God says, "My child, what your soulmate revealed after that confession is the part no one around them was prepared to hear. So listen carefully, because the deepest truth has not been revealed yet." The moment they admitted they would still choose you, someone standing nearby asked a question that completely changed the conversation. if this person means so much to you, what would you say if they were standing right here? Your soulmate froze. For several seconds, they couldn't answer. Then their eyes filled with an emotion they had been trying desperately to hide, and they finally said, "I would tell them that they were never as easy to forget as I pretended. I would tell them that some of my happiest memories still have their face in them. And I would tell them that losing the closeness we once had taught me exactly how much they meant to me." Don't skip, because what happened immediately after those words made the confession even more powerful. Someone asked whether they still imagined a future with you, and instead of avoiding the question, your soulmate gave an answer so certain that everyone listening realized this was not nostalgia. This was love they had been carrying silently. They said, "I don't just remember them. Sometimes I still imagine the conversations we never finished, the places we never went, and the life we might have created if fear had not gotten in the way. My child, something huge is waiting for you, because that one sentence exposed the secret behind their silence. Your soulmate wasn't struggling to forget you. They were struggling with the possibility that they might have waited too long to tell you the truth." Then someone said something that struck directly at the fear they had been hiding. "What if they believe you never cared?" Your soulmate's expression changed instantly. That possibility hurt them more than anyone expected, because they suddenly realized that while they had been protecting themselves through silence, you may have interpreted that silence as indifference. They admitted, "That is what scares me most. They may think they meant nothing to me when the truth is completely opposite." Stay till the end, because this is where their public confession took an unexpected turn. Your soulmate began revealing moments nobody knew about. The times they saw something that immediately reminded them of you, the nights they almost wrote a message and erased it, the occasions when someone mentioned your name and they pretended it didn't affect them, even though their entire mood changed afterward. They confessed that they had secretly wondered whether you ever felt those same invisible reminders. A familiar song. A certain place. A memory arriving unexpectedly in the middle of an ordinary day. Then they said something that silenced everyone. "I kept waiting for the perfect moment, but maybe there is no perfect moment. Maybe eventually you have to stop hiding and tell someone what they truly mean to you." And that was when the people around them realized your soulmate was no longer speaking hypothetically. They were considering doing something real. Something they had postponed again and again. For the first time, they openly admitted that if they got another genuine opportunity with you, they would not waste it pretending they felt less than they actually do. But my child, the most surprising revelation came when someone finally asked, "What is the one thing you have never told them?" Your soulmate became completely quiet again. This time, the silence felt different. They looked down for a moment as if deciding whether they were ready to expose the most vulnerable truth of all. Then they said, "I never told them that meeting them changed what love meant to me." Those words stunned everyone because suddenly the entire confession made sense. Your soulmate explained that before you, they thought love was simply about attraction, excitement, or finding someone who made life feel less lonely. But with you, They experienced something they couldn't easily replace, the feeling of being deeply understood, emotionally seen, and strangely at home around another person. And then came the sentence that changed everything: if I ever get the chance to speak to them again, I don't want another unfinished conversation. I want them to know everything. Don't skip what is coming, because there is still one detail they refuse to reveal publicly. One final truth they said belongs only to you. They would not tell the people around them exactly what it was. They only said, "That is something I need to say," while looking directly into their eyes. And suddenly everyone understood, this public confession was not the ending. It may have been the moment your soulmate finally found the courage to begin what comes next. Because now there is a question they have been rehearsing privately, a question connected to you, to another chance, and to the future they secretly imagined. And once you hear what they are preparing to ask, everything they confessed in public will take on an entirely deeper meaning. My beloved child, come even closer with your heart, because the question your soulmate has been secretly rehearsing is not what anyone expected. And before this message reaches its end, you will understand why their public confession was only the doorway to something much bigger. After admitting that there was one truth they wanted to tell you while looking directly into your eyes, someone quietly asked them, "If you had that chance today, what would you ask?" Your soulmate didn't answer immediately. They looked away, almost as though they could already imagine you standing in front of them. Then they said, "I would ask if there is still a place for me in their heart, or if my silence made me lose that place forever." Those words changed everything. Don't skip, because beneath that question was a truth they had never admitted before: they have wondered whether you still think about them too. They have replayed old conversations, questioned moments they once misunderstood, and remembered things you said that suddenly carry a completely different meaning now. They confessed that there were times they wanted to reach out but stopped because they didn't know what kind of response would be waiting on the other side. They weren't sure whether you would welcome their honesty or wonder why it took them so long. But then someone told them, "You may never know unless you finally speak." And something shifted inside them. For the first time, instead of explaining why they couldn't tell you, your soulmate began talking about how they would tell you. They imagined sitting across from you with no distractions, no pretending, and no unfinished sentences. They said, "I would start by telling them I'm sorry for every moment my silence made them question their importance. Then I would tell them the truth about what I felt when nobody was watching." Stay till the end, because what they revealed next was the confession hidden underneath every other confession. There was a specific moment when they realized they loved you, and strangely, it wasn't some dramatic moment. It was something so small that you may not even remember it, but they never forgot. They described an ordinary moment between you when you did something simple. Perhaps the way you listened when they needed to speak, the way you noticed something everyone else overlooked, or the way your presence made them feel understood without forcing them to explain everything. Your soulmate said that later, when they were alone, they kept thinking about that moment. That was when a realization quietly entered their heart: this person feels different. At first, they dismissed it. But then they began noticing how naturally they searched for you in a room, how quickly they wanted to tell you when something happened, and how your absence felt louder than they expected. My child, something huge is waiting for you, because they confessed that this was when fear entered the story, not because they didn't want love, but because suddenly there was something meaningful enough to lose. So they became careful. Too careful. They held back words they should have spoken. They acted casual when they wanted to be vulnerable. They convinced themselves there would always be another opportunity. But opportunities passed. Circumstances changed, and eventually they were left carrying sentences that had never reached you. Then came the public confession. And standing there in front of everyone, your soulmate finally realized something they could no longer deny: hiding their feelings had never protected their heart. It had only created more unanswered questions. Someone asked, "So what would you do differently now?" Their answer came immediately: I would stop expecting them to read my mind. I would tell them clearly. Don't skip, because they then revealed exactly what clearly meant. They said they would tell you that you were never a temporary chapter to them. They would tell you that even during periods of silence, the meaning of what you shared did not simply disappear. Most importantly, they would finally admit that whenever they imagined having one completely honest conversation with someone, your face was the one that appeared in their mind. And then, my child, the conversation reached the moment that made everyone listening understand just how serious this confession had become. Someone asked your soulmate, if they gave you another chance to speak from the heart, what would you want that chance to become? Your soulmate took a long moment before answering, because this was no longer about memories. This was about possibility. Finally, they said, I wouldn't ask them to forget everything that happened. I wouldn't make promises just to impress them. I would ask whether we could begin with one honest conversation and see where the truth takes us. That answer revealed something powerful. Your soulmate isn't dreaming only about a dramatic reunion. They are imagining something deeper, a chance to rebuild understanding without pretending the past never happened. Stay till the end, because there is one final layer behind everything they said, and this is the part they still haven't spoken publicly. Before the conversation ended, your soulmate admitted that they had already imagined the exact first sentence they would say if they suddenly found themselves standing face to face with you. Everyone immediately asked what it was. But this time, they smiled and refused to reveal it. They simply said, those words belong to them first. Think about that. After revealing so much publicly, there was still one sentence they protected. Not because they were ashamed of it, but because they believed you deserved to hear it directly. And that sentence may explain everything: why they waited, why they struggled to move forward, why your name still changes something inside them, and why they finally confessed their love where other people could hear it. But there is an even greater surprise hidden behind those words, because your soulmate also admitted that after saying that first sentence, there is one question they want to ask you, a question whose answer could completely redefine what happens between you next. And when you hear what that question truly is, you will understand why this confession was never simply about admitting love. It was about discovering whether a story everyone thought had reached its ending might actually have one more chapter waiting to be written. God says, "My child, stay close in your heart, because the words your soulmate saved only for you are finally coming to the surface. And what they want to ask you could change the meaning of everything you thought was finished." After everyone kept asking what that private sentence was, your soulmate finally gave them one small clue. They said, "It begins with something I should have admitted a long time ago." Then they became quiet. But later, when someone they deeply trusted asked them privately what they truly meant, the wall finally came down. Your soulmate whispered the sentence they had imagined saying directly to you. "I wish I had been brave enough to tell you how important you became to me while I still had the chance to show it." Don't skip, because that wasn't the shocking part. The shocking part was what followed. They admitted that for a long time, they believed staying silent would make their feelings easier to control. Instead, every unanswered question grew heavier. Every memory became clearer. Every attempt to dismiss what they felt brought them back to one realization. Some connections cannot be measured by how often two people speak. Sometimes their meaning is revealed by what remains in the heart even after everything becomes quiet. And your soulmate confessed that whenever they imagined finally seeing you again, they didn't picture some perfect movie scene. They pictured one simple moment, your eyes meeting theirs, both of you realizing there were still words between you that had never been spoken. Something huge is waiting for you, because then they revealed the question they have been secretly preparing: if we could begin again, not by pretending nothing happened, but by finally being completely honest, would you give me one conversation to tell you everything? That was the question. Not a demand. Not an expectation. One honest conversation. Because deep inside, your soulmate believes that one conversation could reveal whether everything you both felt was truly finished, or whether silence simply interrupted something neither of you ever properly understood. My child, stay till the end, because someone then asked the question that brought the entire confession full circle: what if they say yes? What would you tell them first? Your soulmate's answer surprised everyone. They said, "I wouldn't begin by asking them to love me. I would begin by telling them what they never knew." Then came the revelations they had hidden for so long. They would tell you about the moments your name appeared in their thoughts. Unexpectedly. They would tell you how many times they almost reached out. They would explain why they pulled back when part of them desperately wanted to come closer. They would admit that some of their distance had nothing to do with a lack of feeling and everything to do with not knowing how to handle feelings that had become deeper than expected. Then they said something nobody saw coming. I would tell them there were moments when I almost confessed everything, but I kept thinking I needed the perfect words. Now I realize the truth never needed perfect words. It only needed courage. That sentence silenced everyone. Suddenly, their entire story looked different. Your soulmate had not been waiting because they had nothing to say. They had been waiting because they had too much to say and didn't know where to begin. Don't skip now, because they also admitted something even more personal. There was a moment when they genuinely wondered whether you had already moved beyond them, and instead of feeling relieved, their heart sank. That reaction forced them to confront the truth they could no longer hide. The thought of never having one more genuine chance with you affected them far more deeply than they expected. And that was the moment they knew silence could no longer be their permanent answer. Then came the final revelation, the one that made their public confession feel almost inevitable. Your soulmate admitted that if they ever stand before you again, they want to leave behind every mask, every confusing signal, and every sentence left unfinished. They want to look directly at you and say, "You mattered to me then. You matter to me now. And I'm sorry if my silence ever convinced you otherwise. But my child, there is something even deeper hidden inside those words. They are not asking you to erase the past. They are not assuming what your answer will be. What they desperately want is the chance to finally be known truthfully by you, not as the person who stayed silent, but as the person who carried far more emotion than they ever showed. And perhaps that is why this confession came out publicly. After hiding for so long, something inside them finally became stronger than the fear of being seen. The people around them heard the truth first, but every word was really meant for one person, you. So remember how this began: one unexpected question, one moment of silence, and one confession nobody expected. I love this person more deeply than they realize. Now you know what was hiding behind that sentence. Regret, memories, unspoken words. A desire for honesty. And one question they have been holding close: would you give me one real conversation? Because sometimes the biggest confession is not simply, "I love you." Sometimes it is, "I should have told you sooner." And if that conversation ever happens, the most important moment may not be what was said publicly at all. It may be what your soulmate has been saving all this time for, the moment when